This is a podcast by the News Minute, and you are listening to South Central.
Hello and welcome to South Central, a TNM podcast where we put the South at the center. I am Dhanya, Rajendran, your host. This is a podcast that drops every Friday where we discuss important stories from the south of India. And joining me in the studio is my co-host, the reporting head of the News Minute, Pooja Prasanna.
Hello from the Antarctica that our studio is.
It is quite cold.
Thanks to you.
I spoke to someone who lives in Delhi today, and she said it's very cold there. I said, yes, it's cold in Bengaluru too, but not comparable still. So hope the weather's keeping you fine, and it's been a new year, a good new year till now. Now, if you're a subscriber of the News Minute and News Laundry, do not forget to read an exclusive story that we publish on the News Minute and News Laundry about billionaire Sridhar Vembu, the CEO of Zoho. Now, there is a very contentious divorce case going on in the US between Sridhar Vembu and his ex-wife Pramila. Our correspondent Indulekha has found that in the divorce case, the court has asked Vembu to pay a bond of $1.7 billion because the court in its initial findings found that he's been opaque about his finances. So what did the court find? Why did the court ask the billionaire to post this huge bond? Read the story. That's just the first story. It's a new story, small one. But after that, we have a longer profile of Sridhar Vembu, where we look at not just his business, but also his politics. Remember, he is now a vocal supporter of the BJP. He's always maintained that for the last 5 years, he's been part of RSS organizations. So we look into the politics, the economics, and everything related to Sridhar Vembu. That profile will be out in a day or two. So read both these stories. Become a subscriber for that. Now to the headlines with Pooja.
Karnataka governor clears 7 bills, keeps hate speech bill on hold. That might be for a change a good thing. Among the bills that have now become law are the Karnataka Labour Welfare Fund Amendment Act, the Greater Bengaluru Second Amendment Act, which of course, as we have spoken about in a previous episode of South Central, it breaks down Bengaluru into multiple corporations and how that will impact city administration. Go back and watch that episode. And then the Kempegowda Heritage Area Development Authority Amendment Act. Another very disturbing headline from Bengaluru this time, how poor maintenance of pipes let sewage mix with water at Bengaluru's Lingarajpuram. The contamination detected in parts of Lingarajpuram under the North City Corporation limits has affected between 30 to 40 houses along a single lane of the KSFC layout. We've been hearing so much of this. We heard what happened in Indore where people killed because, the drinking water got mixed with sewage water from a toilet, and this is, clean air, clean water, relatively clean water and relatively clean air itself is a luxury in India today. Karnataka urges Kerala governor to reject Malayalam language bill. The bill makes Malayalam the compulsory first language in all schools across Kerala.
Malayalam.
A similar bill passed in 2017 had been rejected by the president. Now, this is, I think, in the last couple of weeks, the second bone of contention between the two states. And the objection that they raised is that especially in border areas like Kasargod, where about 70% of the population is said to be Kannada speaking, imposition of Malayalam will be a problem in government schools as the first language. I wonder how Congress will navigate around this if it becomes an election issue.
If they are intelligent, they will keep quiet till May.
If they were intelligent, they wouldn't talk about this just yet. So, that too. Moving on to Tamil Nadu, it's a state that will see elections, so bunch of headlines. Jananayagan postponed. Madras High Court reserves order on plea to issue censor certificate for Vijay's movie. Second headline is from our own Power Trip, which is our political newsletter. DMK confident of alliance with Congress. Read about what the sources are saying, because this is something that's been spoken about quite a bit.
That's because there's been tension between the Congress and the DMK. So we spoke to the DMK and they said that despite all this tension and all this posturing, there's no doubt that the alliance will not break.
This is like deja vu. Before every election, there will be tension between the two parties. Madras High Court prohibits release of booklet defaming Justice G.R. Swaminathan. Ahead of the Chennai Book Fair, the Madras High Court stepped in to block the circulation of a booklet. Anbumani Ramdas joins...
Can I just add here that this booklet published has a picture of the judge in an RSS uniform and then holding, I think, a trishul and something else in his hands. So the booklet was supposed to be circulated in the Chennai Book Fair today, but it's already been out for almost a month.
So those who want a copy would have gotten it already. Anbumani Ramdas joins AIDMK-led NDA with key condition, which is to keep his father, Senior Ramdas, out. Sources said that apart from demanding a higher seat share, Anbumani has also made it clear that his father and PMK founder S. Ramdas should not be accommodated within the NDA.
Lightning strikes between the father and the son.
Also, you can go and watch Shabi's interview with the Senior Ramadas in Tamil, but watch it. It will give you some perspective on the fight between the father and son. Why Madras High Court has allowed Kartigai Deepam at Tirupurukundram Deepathun, the division bench came down sharply on the state's claim that the ritual could disturb communal harmony, calling it an imaginary ghost created by the state. Sure. This is from today morning. Madhav Gadgil, ecologist who championed conservation of fragile Western Ghats, passes away. The report submitted by the Western Ghats Ecology Expert Panel, later it came to be known as the Gadgil Commission, recommending strict safeguards for the fragile Western Ghats, sparked political and public debate across 6 states, including Kerala, Karnataka, Maharashtra,
It's
Tamil
a
Nadu.
huge loss for India. Professor Madhav Gadgil, whose contribution is really something that will live for many, many years and decades. And what is perhaps sad is that his work remains incomplete because of a lack of political will, because of misconceptions about what his work was. So even every time there is a natural calamity in the Western Ghats, the first document that we turn to is the Madhav Gadgil report. So he will be remembered forever for his work. And I hope that there is at least some political will now to implement at least parts of that report.
Yeah. Sabrimala gold theft case, court rejects Padma Kumar's bail plea. Citizen accuses CPIM of shielding the accused. Another headline from Kerala, the High Court asked states to consider special cell against black magic offences. With the proposed anti-black magic law still under consideration, the Kerala High Court has suggested setting up a special cell to better enforce existing laws under inhumane practices.
I can remember that one case a few years ago, I think 2 years ago, where there was this couple who were killing women as part of black magic rituals.
This is Andhra Pradesh, and we'll just have one headline because we plan to look at the state in more detail a little later. Chief Minister Chandrababu Naidu seeks statutory protection for Amravati as Andhra's capital. He's emphasized the need for policy certainty because he said that a formal legislative recognition of Amravati would accelerate development and also fulfill the aspirations of the people of the state. But most importantly, it'll strengthen investor confidence. This, of course, makes sense given the fact that over 11 years since it was created, the state of Andhra Pradesh still doesn't have a developed capital. And we all know what happened when YSRCP came to power. We'll discuss all this in a bit more detail a little later in the show. Telangana, K Kavita says she will form political party. She's announced that Telangana Jagriti will emerge as a political party and contest the next elections. It will definitely emerge as a major political force, she said. I'm leaving the legislature as an individual but will return as a political one. She was an MLC. This, I think, was in her last speech in the Legislative Council.
So those unaware, Kavita is the daughter of former Chief Minister K Chandrasekhar Rao or KCR. She recently quit the BRS and now she's saying that her cultural outfit called Telangana Jagriti will become a political party. But I don't know what kind of support she'll get. And of course, running a political party is not easy. You need to have the finances too.
Correct. Students protest Telangana government's land resumption from MANUU, that's the Maulana Azad National Urdu University. The students' collective on Wednesday demonstrated against Telangana government's efforts to resume a 50-acre land parcel allotted to the university. We'll just look at one national headline this week. Congress appoints senior observers for poll-bound states. Party leaders are appointed as AICC senior observers for the forthcoming assembly polls in states of Assam, Kerala, Tamil Nadu, Puducherry and West Bengal with immediate effect. 5 very important, interesting elections. I don't know about Puducherry, but the other 4 definitely are.
So for old followers of South Central, before I never used to open the headlines on my computer and I used to peek into Pooja's laptop. After multiple people complained that that is very bad manners, I am now opening the document on my own laptop and I hope all of you are happy that I'm no longer peeking into Pooja's laptop. So now that's all for the headlines.
Yeah.
We will go to the first topic of the day. So the last few weeks, we've been discussing states like Tamil Nadu, Kerala and Karnataka and the political developments there. So this episode, we have decided to turn the attention on Andhra Pradesh and look at all the political developments in that state in the past few months. And joining us is Professor K Nageshwar. He's a professor, politician and political analyst. He served as a member of the Andhra Pradesh Legislative Council, a very familiar face for the people of both Telugu states, Andhra Pradesh and Telangana. Thank you very much for joining us, Professor Nageshwar.
Thank you, Dhanya. Thank you.
So we'll quickly jump into what's been happening in Andhra Pradesh, right? Pooja, in fact, one of our colleagues was saying, Anjana was saying in our editorial meeting, that it's become high-tech to Hindutva now, considering the last few statements which Naidu, the chief minister, has been making, saying that don't watch, Avatar and other superheroes, let's focus on Ramayana and Mahabharata, that family values, India is the best and there's nobody else who follows family values. So Naidu is following a bit of a trajectory, and also he's been praising Mohan Bhagwat. He shared a stage with the RSS head. He praised him. So how do you look at all these developments? Is it really high-tech to Hindutva now?
Well, I don't think any reference to Hindu religion should be construed as Hindutva. So there is a fundamental difference between Hinduism and Hindutva. So if Chandrababu Naidu praises Hindu gods, Hindu epics, I have absolutely no quarrel with him, because Hinduism is a great religion and we respect it. The problem comes only when you create a political Hinduism, which we call as Hindutva. So Hinduism is an inclusive religion. Hindutva is based on bigotry, hate, hatred, etc., etc. So the problem comes only when you identify with the political Hinduism. So the spiritual Hinduism is absolutely no problem. So, but you're right, Chandrababu Naidu shared the dais with RSS. That has raised a lot of concerns even among the some conscious Telugu Desam following. The simple thing that I will tell you, if RSS ideology dominates Andhra Pradesh people's political thoughts, obvious beneficiary of that will be BJP, not the TDP. So that is the concern among the TDP's conscious followers also. Well, Chandrababu Naidu is unable to recognize the perils of RSS ideological advancement on Telugu Desam Party's political future. For short-term political ends, he is trying to show himself more loyal than the master. We have seen people like Hemanta Biswa Sarma, after joining the BJP, he has become more virulent Hindutva-vadi than anybody else. So Chandrababu Naidu, in a frantic bid to show himself as a very close ally of Narendra Modi and Bharatiya Janata Party, is trying to identify and provide a social acceptability to the RSS ideology, which is hitherto not so popular in Andhra Pradesh, unlike in the northern part of the country. So that is the major issue. Second, in order to reap political mileage from the Christian religious faith of his arch rival Jaganmohan Reddy, Chandrababu Naidu is trying to use the issues related to Hindu gods like the laddu controversy in Tirumala, etc. So that is the another game plan of Chandrababu Naidu, which is again a short-term political objective. All these actually provide a fertile ground for Bharatiya Janata Party. BJP may be an ally today with TDP, but we have seen from Kashmir to Kanyakumari how BJP dumps its allies for its own party growth. So that is the concern for some of the politically conscious leaders and cadres of Telugu Desam Party.
But do you think that somewhere there's competitive communalism? Because we saw what Pawan Kalyan did, all of last year, the kind of statements that he gave on Hindutva, calling himself a Sanatani repeatedly. So somewhere do you think Naidu is competing with communalism on that to keep him from becoming a larger than life figure for, people in Andhra?
Well, the both Chandrababu Naidu and Pawan Kalyan run a political joint venture. And this political joint venture has partnership with Bharatiya Janata Party. So therefore, both Chandrababu Naidu and Pawan Kalyan, I don't think they're competing, but they're collaborating with the Bharatiya Janata Party. Their objective is BJP doesn't have so much roots in Andhra Pradesh. BJP is not not a threat to their political survival in Andhra Pradesh. So therefore, that political space, the Hindutva space is vacant, as BJP is not a serious player. And more than that, Jaganmohan Reddy cannot compete with the Hindutva because of his personal religious credentials. He is a practicing Christian, and he has not hesitated any time to shy away from this reality. So because of these two reasons, the BJP not so popular in Andhra Pradesh, and Jaganmohan Reddy by his religious faith cannot invoke Hindu religious sentiment. So Chandrababu Naidu and Pawan Kalyan think that is an opportunity to them. Now for them to garner the Hindutva political space, which is of very significant popularity thanks to the Narendra Modi's elevation to the Prime Minister post. So that is the political objective. I don't say it's a competitive communalism, but it is a competitive politico-religiosity. I am not calling it communalism because there were no communal riots or there were no anti-minority hate speeches, etc. So unlike in Uttar Pradesh or unlike in the northern states, but there's a clever attempt to capitalize or appropriate the Hindutva political impact, though which may not have an electoral significance in Andhra Pradesh, but it certainly has permeated into the subconscious mind of the people everywhere in the country, including that of Andhra Pradesh. So that is the reason why both Chandrababu Naidu and Pawan Kalyan are trying to utilize the political space which is still not occupied by the Bharatiya Janata Party. So how far that will yield rich dividends is something to see, because I have no objection with somebody Sanatani with conviction. I have no objection with Narendra Modi because he is a Sanatani by conviction. So he was a pracharak, Hindutva pracharak, even when the BJP was not able to win even a single seat also. But this kind of a Hindutva for political expediency, Hindutva for political opportunity is absolutely uncalled for.
So a couple of points. One is that, though you're right in saying that there has been no hate speeches or anti-minority comments being made by either Pawan Kalyan or Naidu, last few speeches of Pawan Kalyan have sort of been blaming liberals and progressives and seculars, saying that, because this is Hinduism, you will do this. Why don't you touch other religions? I feel that is the beginning of that road. And it is not very far away that you will start blaming other religions for what you perpetrate is, when you say Hinduism is the victim. That's number one. And the first point that you are making, Professor, that there is concern within the TDP that Naidu is not able to see that, projecting these ideals or talking about this, the ultimate winner can only be BJP. But he's a seasoned politician. And we all know that for him, it's not just about this government, right? It's also about making way for his son's future in the party, in the government, which is Nara Lokesh's. So can't Naidu then see that even if there's no immediate threat of the BJP during perhaps even his lifetime, that threat will come for his son when he takes over the party and the government?
So out of these three parts, your question, the first part is, I said the TDP and Janasena, both Chandrababu and Pawan Kalyan, are not resorting to any communal hate speeches because they also want the minority votes, because Andhra Pradesh minorities are different from the minorities even in Telangana also, because the Muslim identity is subservient to the linguistic identity. In Andhra Pradesh, the religious identity is subservient to the linguistic identity. In Telangana, because of the Nizam rule, there is a difference here. In Andhra Pradesh, you can't even differentiate between an Hindu or a Muslim in terms of language, in terms of many things. And there is also a difference. Dalits in Andhra Pradesh are mostly Christian, unlike in Telangana. So they cannot afford to lose such a large vote base. So this is the dilemma of many secular parties, not just Naidu and Pawan Kalyan. Even Nitish Kumar enjoys a considerable Muslim support base. So they ally with the BJP, but at the same time they are cautious not to antagonize the Muslim vote. However, in a bid to please BJP, you have leaders like Nitish Kumar pulling out the user. So that is the kind of drift they always make. So whether it is Naidu or any other secular ally. Then you ask another question, seasoned politician like Chandrababu. Seasoned politicians do make mistakes because they live in their world of own. In 2019, many TDP leaders advised Naidu not to break up with Modi because they were expecting Modi's comeback, and any attempt to take an hostile attitude towards Modi has its own consequences. But Naidu refused to buy that argument. He thought that the Narendra Modi is on a losing track, and he tried to even ally with Congress. So, but that was a disastrous strategy of Chandrababu Naidu. Despite his seasoned political background, and even took a politically catastrophic decision. I'm not talking about ideological. So it is essentially politically disastrous decision for the TDP, and the party was confined to 23 seats. Then coming to the Lokesh future, well, there is another interesting argument in the political circles. I'm not either validating it or rejecting it. The thesis is that essentially for the Lokesh future, Naidu is doing this because Lokesh has to face a tough competition from Jaganmohan Reddy and also Pawan Kalyan. So there may be a possibility of BJP bringing in junior NTR. Amit Shah met junior NTR, and we know the BJP's politics, the cold-blooded politics the BJP play. So therefore, to insulate Lokesh from a possible challenges and threat from the political rivals, so Naidu is consciously cultivating the Sangh Parivar so that Sangh Parivar will be a shield for Lokesh. So RSS also finds Lokesh more vulnerable to their ideology, at least more yielding to their ideology. They're not vulnerable than Chandrababu Naidu, because Chandrababu Naidu has at least some history of secular politics, etc., etc. He has a baggage of history. So Lokesh doesn't have any such thought. So therefore, to ensure that the Lokesh will be insulated from the challenges, his rivals, relatively more powerful rivals than Jaganmohan Reddy and Pawan Kalyan, and a possible competition from junior NTR thanks to BJP, Naidu may be trying to come closer to the Sangh Parivar. More than that, I think it is Chandrababu Naidu's short-term political objective. It doesn't look beyond 10 years, beyond 15 years. He is simply living in the present. BJP is still stronger. So I have done a mistake by coming out of NDA. So let me go to the other extreme. Chandrababu Naidu is known for moving one extreme to the other. There was a time when post-Kargil, he became part of NDA. He was the NDA 1's convener. Subsequent to 2002 Gujarat riots, he has even created an impression that he is opposed to communal politics and he is pulling out of NDA. So there was time after that he said, I did a big mistake. I'm a secular politician. My party is secular. This is an historical blunder, my alliance with BJP. We will never ally with BJP, he said. Again in 2014, he allied with BJP. Again in 2019, he started a fight against BJP. He has even denigrated Narendra Modi, brought in his wife, someone who can't do justice to his wife. How can he do justice to the nation? This was what Chandrababu Naidu attacked, even personally Narendra Modi, and said, I will never join hands with BJP. So immediately after the election, they started sending feelers to BJP. So Chandrababu Naidu, for that matter, any politician, and Chandrababu Naidu as a veteran of battles, political battles, and as someone, as you rightly said, a seasoned politician, is also seasoned in terms of moving from one end of the political spectrum to the other. You have seen what the Pawan Kalyan has done. He has allied with the left in the 2019 and immediately he became a Sanatani, unapologetic Sanatani. He is an unapologetic follower of Che Guevara. So he has moved from Che Guevara to Saffron Brigade. So that is the ease with which politicians, especially the regional political leaders, especially the so-called secular leaders across the country, do this. I'm sure everybody knows, barring Lalu Prasad Yadav, I don't think there is any non-Congress, non-BJP politician in the country who has not allied with BJP. You have seen right from Mahbooba Mufti to ADNK, DNK, right from Mamata Banerjee to every other party. So that is how these so-called regional secular parties behave.
Now, I just also want to point out, last week we were discussing about Pinarayi Vijayan, the Kerala Chief Minister, and what the local body polls actually showed. So, though the CPM, of course, does not make any anti-minority comment or anything like that, they have sort of been friendly with Vellapalli Nadeshan of the SNDP, who makes so many anti-Muslim comments that he's in news every single day. And the CPM, just because they associated with Vellapalli Nadeshan, had to suffer in the local body polls is a finding of the CPIM and the CPI itself. So I think that's perhaps a lesson for Naidu, that even if you don't say anything yourself, who you associate with is being watched by the minorities especially.
Yeah, but I think the center itself has moved so much to the right now, right? And the right has moved further away to the right. So everything has to be recalibrated in that view. But my question is about how the community has reacted, Professor Nageshwar. Kammas, I won't generalize, but by and large, there were a lot of leaders from the community who were known for their progressive views, anti-Brahminical movements. They were also, the top leaders of CPI, CPIM in Andhra were from the Kamma community. So how has the community itself reacted to this new change, new avatar of Naidu?
Well, I don't think in terms of political progressives, you're right, Kammas have an history of anti-Brahminical movement. But we have seen how the Dravidian movement, which is known for its strident ideological anti-Brahmanism, strident anti-Hindutva, even Periyar is known for his atheism. When Dravidian movement can succumb to Hindutva politics, forget about any other social formation. So I think Kammas anti-Brahmanical movement or some of the leading communist figures coming belonging to the Kamma community, that's not a big issue compared to the Dravidian movement. We have seen how the Dravidian parties, both ADMK and DMK, are hobnobbing with the BJP, hobnobbing with Hindutva politics, not just the Dravidian anti-Hindutva political ideological moorings. There is another dimension with the Dravidian movement. Their uncompromising fight against the Hindi domination, for their their commitment to federalism, all that, where have they gone when they align with the BJP? So not just, you're right, across the country, the so-called secular parties do not fully grasp the consequences of joining hands with the BJP. From Kashmir to Kanyakumari, I will give you every party that has aligned with the BJP ultimately got consumed by the BJP. Look at the PDP, which aligned with the BJP despite their ideological asymmetry on Article 370. Where is PDP now? It is completely decimated. Look at the Jananayaka Janata Party. Despite the BJP's farm loss, it associated with the BJP, and finally its political erosion is so serious that it lost all the 10 seats it has earlier won. Look at Mamata Banerjee. She was in Vajpayee government. Now she's facing the toughest competition and fight from the BJP. Look at the Assam Gan Parishad. Today it can't survive without aligning with the BJP. Look at Shiva Sena, which has now become marginalized in Maharashtra. Look at Naveen Patnaik, who was not an NDA but non-NDA ally. All the three non-NDA allies of BJP, the Naveen Patnaik in Orissa, Jaganmohan Reddy in Andhra Pradesh, KCR in Telangana, lost it. Look at Janata Dal Secular is increasingly losing its base. So across the country, from Kashmir to Kanyakumari, political party, ADMK, which has also lost its sheen after joining hands with BJP, SNDP, which has joined hands with the BJP by giving up the Sri Narayana Guru's great social legacy. So all these parties were humiliated by the BJP at one point of time, and the saffron juggernaut consumed them. Still, they are not learning lessons, because essentially these parties demonstrate ideological pusillanimity and a lack of strategic vision. They only look at immediate political gains. So that is the result is that is political disaster. So Telugu Desam cannot be an honorable exception in this process. I have given you across the country examples. So how can Telugu Desam be an honorable exception?
Now, just to move away from the RSS and the BJP and Telugu Desam party, to just look at what Chandrababu Naidu has been saying. So I was reading older reports from 2018, etc., where he used to say, I'm not satisfied with ministers. And we see the same trajectory happening this time too, where he's saying, I'm not satisfied with ministers. There's only 51% satisfaction in Andhra Pradesh. What is the political strategy behind Naidu always othering his ministers, his MLAs, saying that they are not performing well? Is it genuinely
public.
in public?
Yeah.
Is it genuinely a leader saying that wanting more productivity from his, from his coterie cadres, whatever, or is there something else behind that?
If it is really for productivity, you will not say it in public. You will pull them up in the internal meetings. Not just that, Andhra Jyoti, which is allegedly pro-Telugu Desam party, so which is everybody knows, it is an anti-Jagan newspaper, not the party. So Andhra Jyoti, if you look at the stories, not just Jagan's newspaper Sakshi, Andhra Jyoti, which is certainly not hostile to TDP, you'll find number of stories on the page one accusing ministers of corruption, accusing MLAs of land grabbing, accusing collectors of non-functioning. And I've seen a program on ABN, Andhra Jyoti's sister concern, is a TV channel, wherein the TDP representative, the Kutumba Rao, who was the planning board vice chairman, has openly said that TDP, the NDA MLAs, including TDP MLAs, are intoxicated with power. Use the word intoxicated. So look at that. Even Janasena leader Shiv Shankar openly said. So our leader, our MLAs are earning money left, right, and center. They're openly telling our leaders have given us seats by asking them how much money we can spend. They will give us ticket in the next election based on the money we have. So what is wrong in earning money? This is what the NDA leaders telling on a TV channel which is not hostile to TDP. What can we understand? You're right, Chief Minister publicly chiding MLAs, ministers, even collectors. So the kind of narrative which Chandrababu Naidu is intelligently trying to project is that nobody is working. Only I am working, Lokesh working, to some extent Pawan Kalyan working. So nobody else is working. So ministers are not working, ministers are not corrupt, MLAs are not working, collectors are not working. So this is the kind of narrative which he is trying to project. This is according to them, an intelligent attempt to insulate the leader from the possible anti-incumbency. Anti-incumbency operates at two levels, at the state level and at the constituency level. So he wants to overcome the constituency level anti-incumbency by trying to insulate himself and Lokesh from the discontent, the anti-incumbency, which is a result of the discontent that started brewing in the state. So Jaganmohan Reddy did the same thing. He has changed candidates, and he has introduced new candidates and thought that his anti-incumbency will be overcome, but that did not happen. There will always be an interplay of anti-incumbency at the local level and the state level. But the leaders often, KCR also thought that, well, there is anti-incumbency against MLAs, but they want me to be the chief minister. Jaganmohan Reddy wanted the same thing, said the same thing. There is anti-incumbency against MLAs, but I am very, very popular. Chandrababu Naidu is also dreaming the same thing. So the result is something to be forecast.
Perhaps the blueprint is from Gujarat, I think ahead of 2017 elections there, that done a complete rehaul of the cabinet, including the chief minister. Every single minister was changed, and that did yield result because there was a lot of, that's of course decades of anti-incumbency. But Professor Nageshwar, it's interesting you mentioned Pawan Kalyan, and you said that, according to Naidu, to some extent Pawan Kalyan is working. How is that entire equation going on right now? I mean, there is of course a caste tension also, the Kapu Kama tension.
Just to add to that, whenever I speak to anyone for our newsletter Power Trip, which we are forced to talk to politicians, everybody says that TDP and Janasena for now have a good understanding, as in they're working in tandem, there's no confusion. Will Pawan Kalyan become a threat in the future is not of a big concern now. But how is that equation going, as Pooja was asking?
Yeah, in terms of functioning, because what kind do they have hold on the ministries, JSP? Do they get autonomy in decisions? How is that functioning?
Well, the question of autonomy doesn't come because no minister wants autonomy. So the problem comes only when somebody wants autonomy. Only Pawan Kalyan wants autonomy. Lokesh already enjoys autonomy. So no other minister really wants autonomy. They enjoy the ministerial position. So not that they want autonomy, and Chandrababu is not giving. So in fact, you're right. There is a unnatural social coalition in Andhra Pradesh. Kamas and Kapos who were on different sides of the political spectrum for quite some time in the history of Andhra Pradesh. have solidly behind the Chandrababu Naidu led NDA in Andhra Pradesh. So there is absolutely no problem in the social and political coalition as of now. Well, there are problems at the local level. That is obvious. Even within the parties, you will find those problems. But in an alliance, you will always find that too. An unnatural social coalition will certainly have that problem. But as of now, thanks to the fear of Jagan coming back, both Kammas and Kapus are together, and TDP and Janasena alliance is very solid. There's no dispute about that. Is in fact the reason for NDA still enjoying the popular support. I am sure even today, if elections are held, no wonder that NDA comes back to power. So the reason for that is the socio-political coalition that has remarkably changed the political scenario against Jaganmohan Reddy. It still remains very strong. So both Chandrababu Naidu and Pawan Kalyan are very, very cautious. Even Lokesh are very, very cautious not to antagonize each other. So I use the word to some extent. The reason is, well, Chandrababu Naidu has a dilemma. He cannot forego Pawan Kalyan. At the same time, he has to install Lokesh. So this was to a very peculiar situation. If he wants to, there are instances when TDP leaders talked about making Lokesh deputy chief minister, and one of the ministers has even said, why can't you make Lokesh the chief minister also? Well, obviously, Janasena was immediately irritated because they don't want any other deputy chief minister other than Pawan Kalyan. So, but the fire was extinguished. The political fire was extinguished. Both Chandrababu Naidu and Pawan Kalyan were taking extra care to ensure that there are no problems in the coalition. So I use the word some extent in that context because Chandrababu Naidu is compelled to install Lokesh as the leader. And this process goes contrary to Pawan Kalyan's number 2 stature in the NDA. So that contradiction is playing up now and then. But certainly today, there's a perfect political chemistry between Naidu and Pawan Kalyan, between Lokesh and Pawan Kalyan, between TDP and Janasena, and between the two social formations. There are local level problems that is obvious in any alliance.
Okay, since the professor was talking about Pawan Kalyan and Naidu having this good relationship, we must actually look at what is happening in Tamil Nadu. What we've reported over the last few weeks is that though there have been hints that the AIDMK wants to align with Vijay's party, the TVK, and Vijay also did not mind having talks, it never progressed really because of who would become the chief minister. Now, Vijay, though he is making his political debut, he still sees himself as the chief minister face, and Edappadi Palaniswamy is very categorical that in an alliance which he is leading, he will be the CM face, Vijay can become the deputy CM. But in Andhra Pradesh, we see that Pawan Kalyan is sort of now happy with the deputy CM post he's gotten. And like you were saying, Professor, there doesn't seem to be any misunderstanding or friction as of now. But is that also from his lesson from previous elections where he's not been successful? And how do you see Pawan Kalyan's, ambition going forward? There had been a lot of talks in between that perhaps he would merge his party with the BJP. But those talks have sort of subsided now, right?
No, the question of Janasena merger with BJP doesn't arise, and Pawan Kalyan has even publicly said that when Amit Shah proposed such an idea, he has rejected it. So he is aligning with the BJP, but he was never in favor of any idea of merging his party with BJP. As of now, Pawan Kalyan fully knows his limitations. So he has, in fact, the BJP had a second choice other than joining hands with the TDP. They wanted to be a third force. They wanted to ensure one of the two parties, either TDP or YCP, weaken so that there will be a space for BJP. But it was Pawan Kalyan who was vehemently in favor of joining hands with the TDP because of the ignominious defeat he suffered in 2019. He himself lost from the 2 seats which he contested. Only one MLA won from Janasena, and that man has also defected to YSR Congress. So he knows fully well that his followers may want him to be the chief minister, but he's pretty conscious of the fact that he doesn't have that kind of a popular support. So TDP also knows Pawan Kalyan is not a threat to Chandrababu Naidu. Well, he may be a threat to Lokesh in future, but as of now, as long as Chandrababu Naidu is actively at the helm, Pawan Kalyan has no ambition to to surpass Chandrababu Naidu. He knows that Chandrababu Naidu is a towering leader compared to Pawan Kalyan. So therefore, as of now, it's a win-win situation. That's the reason Pawan Kalyan always says for next 15 years, this alliance will be for 15 years. So he is only looking at post-Chandrababu Naidu scenario. So that is after Chandrababu Naidu retires from active politics, Pawan Kalyan wants to be in the field, I think. So that's the reason he's always talking about 15-year lifetime for the NDA in Andhra Pradesh. Why not 25 years? Why not 30 years? Why only 15 years? Nobody knows. So therefore, he is fully conscious, and TDP is also conscious. If not all the TDP leaders, at least Chandrababu Naidu is very, very conscious of the fact that the winning edge is provided by Janasena. So Janasena may have a 6 to 7% vote across the state. But in highly polarized political past where Janasena's addition is very, very important. That's the reason Chandrababu Naidu himself described Pawan Kalyan as a game changer. That is what Chandrababu Naidu said even in his popular entertainment show with Nandamuri Balakrishna called The Unstoppable. So therefore, it is a win-win partnership as of now. It perfectly suits the present political context. Nobody knows what will happen in future. As of now, so Pawan Kalyan is happy, Kapus are happy, Kamas are happy, Chandrababu Naidu is happy. It is all well scenario because of the threat Jaganmohan Reddy poses to them. Because Jaganmohan Reddy still retains 40% solid vote base even today, despite losing the elections. So therefore, any split in the anti-Jagan vote or any fragmentation in the anti-Jagan vote will prove costlier for both TDP and Janasena.
All is happy in the ruling coalition, but one area where things are not very happy is the finances of Andhra Pradesh, because 11 years and the special category status has not come.
But I think they've sort of now
they've given up for a lack of choice, but it's not that the state doesn't need those grants, right? And for the development of Amravati, I think Naidu had asked for over 50,000 crores. The BJP, the NDA has granted less than 5,000 crores. So everything is in limbo. And in fact, we were talking about the debt to GSDP ratio of Tamil Nadu a couple of weeks ago, and let me explain. But Andhra has a higher ratio, which is over 35%, which is very alarming. But Professor Nageshwar, how do you think Naidu will bring in the much needed funds? Because the investments are coming in, the announcements are happening, but that is not even, that's like a drop in the ocean, right? Compared to the amount that they actually need.
Well, it is true. Finances are very complicated. How the political parties operate. So across the country, we have seen how the populism has taken a heavy toll of governance. So Andhra Pradesh is no exception to that. So the point here is, let me make a small correction. For Amravati, World Bank has given 15,000 crores, and I was told that the Modi government is making it a grant rather than a loan. So, it is true that the Narendra Modi government is not cooperating with the Naidu to the extent Chandrababu Naidu wants, but certainly he has no other option. So he can't go against the NDA. So he has already learned the lesson in 2019. So any attempt to give up Modi friendship, Jaganmohan Reddy is already a non-NDA ally. So he doesn't want to antagonize Modi, given the kind of fate Arvind Kejriwal, Hemant Soren and many others are facing. So Chandrababu Naidu, more than the finances, politics matter very much now. So he has to compromise with Narendra Modi and get whatever little or more, whatever is possible. This is now trying to balance between the fragile economics and robust politics. So trying to ensure some of the promises are at least fulfilled, like the Super 6, the populist promises. But Amravati and Polavaram can always wait for the next elections so that they will remain as a political ploy. Politicians are very clever. So they are so intelligent, they will convert the crisis into opportunity. Pulwama was a crisis. Modi converted into an opportunity. So they know very well how to convert a crisis into an opportunity. Well, Amravati and Polavaram, if they are not completed, Well, it's a crisis, but they will convert into opportunity. If you want me to complete Amravati, if you want me to complete Polavaram, vote for NDA. So that is how politicians are intelligent in converting crisis after crisis into an opportunity after opportunity.
Perhaps the BJP is also reluctant to give more grants because the credit will go to Naidu if they give any more grants, and they don't want him getting any more stable. But it's also interesting because Naidu had said that reckless freebies, I'm using his term, we don't like the word freebies, but that reckless freebies by the YSRCP government is what pushed the Andhra state into this kind of fiscal deficit. But if you look at his promises, they are also, I mean, rightly so, they also talk about welfare schemes. From Talli Ki Vandanam to several other schemes are in the same direction. Some of them, in fact, are just rebranded from what YSRCP had given. So I don't know where they'll find money both for development and for welfare schemes. But
yeah, Professor, I think we'll just end with the person that we did not speak about now at all, who is Jaganmohan Reddy. One is, what exactly is Jaganmohan Reddy up to? I mean, I know that there has been a lot of opposition from Jaganmohan on the PPP model, which Naidu is now going to persist, especially in the health sector. In fact, we had PV Ramesh in the episode a few weeks ago, where he was speaking very strongly against the PPP model, which Naidu wants to bring in the health sector with the government hospitals. What are your thoughts on what Jaganmohan Reddy is up to?
Well, Jaganmohan Reddy is living in a world of his own, thinking that there is already a strong discontent against Chandrababu Naidu, and if elections are held now, he will come back to power with thumping majority. That is the illusory world people live. That's the problem I have. I was, I was in legislature, I was in media, so I was on the both sides of the fence to that extent, and I've intimately seen how politicians at the top level work. So they live in a world which there are sycophants around them, and they always tell that something great is happening for you. So I've seen with all the top leaders, they face the vulnerability for this. So Jaganmohan Reddy is not an exception to it. So on the ground, I think Jaganmohan Reddy thinks that Super 6, people are terribly dissatisfied with it. It is true that Naidu has not implemented some of the promises made along with the Super 6, but I think there is a reasonably better satisfaction than that. Well, the second is Jaganmohan Reddy thinks that Naidu doesn't have credibility in terms of the welfare schemes. He has a greater credibility. It is also true, Jaganmohan Reddy has greater credibility in welfareism. But people are not looking for credibility. People are looking for delivery. Well, Chandrababu Naidu may not personally believe in welfareism. He is a reformer, he is a protagonist of economic reforms. But that doesn't matter for them. As long as the government delivers for willy-nilly, it's fine for them. Chandrababu Naidu may have an ideological aversion towards so-called freebies, but he is already doing the same thing. Modi talks about freebies and he's promising everything from Delhi to Bihar. So politicians look at this people look at it in terms of the delivery. So, but on medical colleges, PPP, certainly TDP is on a wrong side. So, I've seen some of the surveys which reveal that around 80% of the people are against medical college in PPP. So, as our Congress has certainly scored so well on the issue, I'm not telling it will be a political game changer. It may not have that kind of a striking potential, but certainly there is an issue where the NDA and Chandrababu Naidu was caught on the wrong side, and Chandrababu Naidu is unable to come out of it. He's bringing in Narendra Modi, he's bringing in Atal Bihari Vajpayee also. Recently, he said it is Vajpayee who started PPP. He's trying to invoke the name of Vajpayee and Modi to defend PPP. The next only thing, perhaps he will invoke the name of God. God also wanted PPP, he may say tomorrow morning. So, but on the PPP, Jaganmohan Reddy certainly scored more. But there are other significant issues. On employment, still the restlessness has started among youth, especially because TDP promised 20 lakh jobs a year. They're talking about investment. Everybody knows, you and me agree on one thing, our economics is different. Investment doesn't translate into real jobs. Investment doesn't even translate into real investment. They are all MOUs and everybody knows what is an MOU. Ultimately, a fraction of it actually comes on ground. Even if it comes on ground, we are living in an age of jobless growth and even job loss growth. So on jobs front, Chandrababu Naidu is already started facing discontent. On farmers' issues, they are facing started discontent. Jaganmohan Reddy trying to capitalize on it, on chili farmers, mango farmers, etc. But on law and order, Jaganmohan Reddy is thinking that people are very, very averse to Chandrababu Naidu. Well, the political fight between TDP and YCP, the fight between the activists of TDP and political YCP is not an issue of law and order for the common people. I don't think common people are so seriously concerned. So there are areas where people are disgruntled, but there are areas people are still happy. So the political, more than the populism, more than the promises, the political chemistry between TDP and Janasena, that makes a world of difference. In Andhra Pradesh, unfortunately, there is so much caste consolidation. Pawan Kalyan himself said that in Andhra Pradesh, people think in terms of caste. So the problem in Andhra Pradesh is these caste loyalties are so strong. Even if the leader does something wrong, they still criticize him, but still support him. So that is the unflinching caste political loyalties in Andhra Pradesh. So therefore, it is not so easy to break this polarization, and that is being witnessed today in Andhra Pradesh.
Okay, so thank you very much for that, Professor. I think to those listening, I hope he's been able to give a good picture of the politics in Andhra Pradesh. Do come back to South Central sometime, maybe in the future when we have some more developments happening in Andhra Pradesh. But thank you for giving us a very comprehensive view of what's happening.
Sure, certainly. Most very, very happy to be part of the show.
In
Dhanya,
fact,
also
we lost connectivity in between and he's on phone. I keep looking around and Bhuvan is giving me these stares saying, look at the camera, not the phone. So it's been one chaotic episode, but still it was good to listen to you and get all these thoughts. And let's see what's happening, what.
Let's also just put this out to our viewers, Dhanya. We were planning to, in either Jan or February, go down to Andhra Pradesh, come back with a few ground reports. So do you think we should go, and what are the topics you think we should take up from the ground? Do write to us and tell us.
Write to us at southcentral@thenewsminute.com. Okay, so from that political conversation on Andhra Pradesh, we'll now move to Kerala. But the topic is not strictly about Kerala. It's something that happens across India. It's really resistance to art. Last 2 weeks, there's been a controversy in Kerala where a painting, it's called Supper at a Nunnery by an artist Tom Vattakuri, was withdrawn after protests by Christian groups. Now, Supper at a Nunnery was a creative reimagination of the Last Supper, in which instead of Jesus, Mata Hari, the so-called spy, sits and there are nuns around her. So this painting has been in controversy before too, where it was withdrawn many years ago. It made a comeback at the Biennale, and following protests, the Biennale too decided that they will not have this exhibit. But this is not the first time, right? From M.F. Hussein's paintings to Dan Brown's work to Harish's Misha to so many art, paintings, movies, and so many different kinds of art forms have met with resistance in India, sometimes from fringe groups, sometimes from government, sometimes from religious groups. So to discuss about that, joining us is a guest from Kerala, Kavita Balakrishnan. She's an artist, poet, critique, curator, and academician. She's currently a lecturer in art history and aesthetics at the Government College of Fine Arts in Thrissur. She's also author of the book Keralathile Chitrakathaകളുടെ Vartamanam, a collection of essays on 20th century Kerala art. Thank you very much, Kavita, for joining us here on South Central.
Thank you, Dhanya. It's a pleasure to be with you and discuss these matters.
So you have seen what happened at the Kochi Biennale, right? There was a lot of back and forth going, and finally it was decided that the exhibit will not be there anymore. And the painting itself, like I was saying in my intro, was not the first time it has been in a controversy. It has happened before also when it was first published in the literary magazine called Bhasha Poshini. We had reported it then too. So how do you look at these developments? Because hypothetically, in a state like Kerala, shouldn't there have been more braver people saying that this is art and this art should be allowed?
Yes, very much. But before going into that minute details, let me go into something very much basic. Like, basically, we need to learn to look at a painting. Actually, in Kerala, as a, art as a modern entity, as a modern cultural material, that needs a kind of literacy to look at. We need to educate our society. There's a dire lack of education of art, or maybe our art education is not really targeting at the things that we necessarily do. So we need to educate our society to look at a painting. What is art and what were the ways of seeing the art can generate? What happens instead is a terror of illiteracy that ruins every human achievement, intervention, and legacy of art. Actually, I would like to correct it that this particular painting by Tom Vatakuri is not an adaptation of The Last Supper of Da Vinci at all. It was, every art object has its own ways of coming into existence. It had been an illustration. Back in 2016, Bhasha Poshini printed it as an illustration of a literary piece, a play by C. Gopan, and that play is an altogether different matter. It was actually projecting something that was dealing with the body, women, and a feminist perspective of looking at body. And why there is a friction when a feminist perspective of looking at a body adapts into a larger humanist history's legacy work of art called Last Supper by Da Vinci. Yes, the humanism that we learned so far is a very, very Hippocratic position. So that is one important basic thing that really makes all these conflicts. The woman and her body, the values based on it, the gendered values based on it, really create a trouble for religion. And when a woman comes into, a particular imagination, a very patriarchal, male-centered imagination of Jesus is presented in the interpretation that is possible by, a fictional moment of World War, a poet, a particular fictional situation of a dinner happening at a nunnery. So all these are fictional materials. When these fictions come into some kind of textual, kind of intertextual relations, then that creates a lot of trouble. The cause of the trouble is patriarchy and the religious, kind of domination that is actually sustaining all these patriarchal materials in this society. So, let me come into the basic things. The illustration of the painter, Tom Vatakuri, and the pictorial language he developed have some interesting peculiarities. Tom uses a very constant character called light. Light is very important for painters. In most of his paintings, the dramatic entry of light in a painting is actually generally to give a poetic brilliance to the scenes of worldly life that the painter gets to refer to. And the painting is done as a response to a literary work. We shouldn't forget this. The pictorial language used by Tom is realism. We look at the painting in the same way as we look at the objects in the world. Yeah. We will generally be very happy with this achievement of the painter who represents the truth as truth. But when the painter's choice of objects to bring into the painting becomes very crucial, then the dramaticality deploys in the light in the places he has decided in advance. A symbolic field emerges. So we miss this symbolic field. That is why we feel that it is an adaptation of a particular form earlier. Actually, the symbolic field is provided by the 21st century literature. So let's go into that literature first and then crucify the artist. Or, let's come into the intertextual alignment of our imagination, improvisation of imagination that is already present in the literary work that really inspired the artist. And the artist uses his own, text of pictorial language that is a realism of certain sort. And then the whole play of intertextuality. Why don't we miss all these? all these are simply academic? If all these are simply academic, then we cannot really survive as art and artists in this world then. We should be able to notice these intertextual languages of painting here and painter. This is a different kind of realism. We should understand that. This is not like Mata Hari is swapped as Christ or Christ is swapped as Mata Hari. Okay, even if Christ is swapped as a naked woman, what is wrong with that? Because Christ had been bringing the values of the feminine values, so-called feminine values of, sacrifice. Then why can't Christ be shown as a woman? So Tom's illustration was actually adapted into a painting. Maybe that the same work must have been placed in front as a painting in Kochi Biennale. And that may remind us of Da Vinci's masterpiece, but this is not supposed to be a substitute painting. That is my basic point. And we must not forget to look closely at what we see in the painting. Painters naturally make us think. Writers also make us think. And we should think, not behave like religious beings, which the artist never intended to. So when the crowd decides what art is, this is the problem. Because the crowd is not prepared or informed or they are not really capable. The crowd is not capable of looking at a painting. So why can't we all stand in unison and tell these crowds, no, we don't have the machineries of modern art strong enough to claim our autonomy.
No, but Kavita, that's the question I was asking, that if this art has a particular meaning to it, that there is a subtext to this art, why weren't people at the Biennale able to convince these groups? Because you are not talking about some group which uses physical, at least
violence.
As of now, physical violence, right? We are talking about Christian groups who haven't resorted to that yet in
But also,
places
I
here.
had a quick question for both of you. Isn't
let us answer that. Why was the Biennale not able to convince that this art form should stand, that this is what it stands for?
That is because we have forgotten the autonomy of art and artists. We just know about institutionalizing art. We simply know how to institutionalize art for the sake of commodification, perhaps, or for the sake of branding oneself. We never have learned art history, or whatever we have learned as art history, we don't know how to use it. When the time comes, they don't remember the people who can save them. They don't remember the art historians in this country. They don't remember the artists who are equally capable with their own historical understanding. They don't remember them. Then how can simply, how can you institutionalize art only with capital? How can you institutionalize art simply with capital? Yeah, we all say that, in 20th century, people migrated to other places because we don't have any resources here. But what is, they went out and they somehow got some life. Yeah, they also seemed, apparently they were successful people. Yeah, they are successful by themselves. Tom is also a very successful artist now. But did he really could he, argue for himself or his friends? Could they? Yeah, that is because cultural capital is something of intellectual contribution. So art is intellectual in its primary level. What is intellectual? It is, so far I've heard a lot of criticisms against being intellectual because you are being hypocritical. You speak things on which common people can't understand. Who needs common people? Who needs the crowd? Only those manipulators need the crowd. Artists don't need crowd. Artists needs compassion. Artist needs maybe very, very little, very little, just like humble existence of a human being needs actually very little to survive. I'm not rejecting that, but it is only one among many yardsticks.
Kavita, just to intervene here, when you say that sometimes it's not about the crowd, that can also be misread as gatekeeping art, right? That it is only for a small elite who understands history and art as art.
Yes, very much. So I'll address that issue. The kind of elitism in art historical writing, the elitism in art practice itself has really been a problem for us in 20th century. And that was basically, I think, so far as my understanding is going, that is created in our society by colonialism, and the kind of baggage of colonialism made it to be very elitist. We had, only colonial people have marginalized our artists and sculptors as craftsmen. We need to bring them back. We need to write history in a new, different way. And that is not about elitism in the name of intellectualism, but that is about the basic intelligence that is lying there in every person. You go and bring that out, even that out from a fundamentalist person. Even when you are talking too much about religion and caste and all, then how to address that man? How to talk art to him? That is intelligence. How to understand that a carpenter who is working in somewhere in our locality carries his own modern history of making something of his own. I'm researching on some carpenters in the carpentry in Chirp, a place nearby me. All those people had an idea earlier about a total object, work of art as a total object, bringing all the intelligence of the community together. But we lost that understanding today. We feel that every work of art is a product of an individual's intelligence only. So we need to totally understand, restructure the idea of art as a very, very collaborative, creative circuit kind of stuff.
No, I take your point about it being a collaborative effort. But that said, I think there are also restrictions on how much you can collaborate. And I was earlier planning to ask both of you that my understanding was that Kochi Biennale was supposed to be more radical, more subversive. But even as I'm thinking about that, it just occurred to me that in India particularly, what those terms mean also comes with heavy restrictions, right? Because how much can you push the needle is something that is subjective. Every time we think we've taken 2 steps ahead, we are pushed 2-3 steps back. And I want to just go back to, in the early 20th century, there are reports about how Mahatma Gandhi had wanted the sculptures in Konark and Khajuraho, am I pronouncing it right? To be covered with cement because he thought that they're obscene. And it took Rabindranath Tagore and a few other friends of his to convince him that there is a cultural and there is a context. It doesn't exist in isolation. In literature, I studied an essay by this person called B. Nagaratnama, Bangalore Nagaratnama. She had translated the works of another poet called Mudupalani from the 18th century. Mudupalani was a Devdasi. She had written an essay, an entire book called Radhika Santwanam, which was about how it tried to flip the narrative of how usually Krishna's lust, Krishna's love is spoken about. Here, a woman's passion was spoken about, how Radhika waits for Krishna to come to her and what are her passion. And that book was banned, not just by those who took religious offense to it, but by the colonial government of the day because they thought that it was immoral at the time. So there is a history in India from there to M.F. Hussain to several other artists. I think even in Delhi last year, M.F. Hussain's paintings were seized from the Delhi Art Gallery. Imagine about 15 years after M.F. Hussain died, he died at the age of 95 himself, but somebody filed a complaint and the court issued an order for 2 paintings of M.F. Hussain to be seized. So what I'm trying to say is I think it is ingrained in our culture, taking offense, and anything that you look at from a religious prism will seem offensive. So perhaps we need to keep that aside. We need to separate offense from looking at art itself.
But what Kavita is also saying is that when this offense is directed, there has to be someone who sits on the table and can explain as to why this art is
But who
not
do you
meant to
explain
be
to?
offensive.
How many people? In the
Yeah.
case of what happened in Kochi Biennale, I understand that it is not a violent group like you mentioned, and there is still scope for some reasonable conversation. But my problem is where does it stop? How much can you explain yourself?
No, Kavita, I want to come back to Kerala itself. For example, last few years, we have seen a spree of such controversies, right? And that's especially when art has anything to do with religion. For example, in 2018-17, Harish's author S. Harish's Nisha, which was being serialized in the Mathrubhumi, faced resistance from Hindu groups. And I remember this started as opposition from a fringe, small group. And then the publication had to be stopped. It went to the Supreme Court itself, where Chief Justice Deepak Sharma said that banning of books, unless it depicts something obscene, even then the Supreme Court said that otherwise banning of books is not something good. And Justice Chandrachud at that time even questioned why this book should be shelved for 2 simple paragraphs, because it is a conversation between 2 women, I think, about going to temple. After that, we have seen a couple of controversies in the last few years. One was, of course, this Rafiq, his play called Kitab, which faced a huge resistance. Again, this year, he had another play called Veeranatyam. His name is Rafiq Mangalasheri, and this play won a prize at the district level youth festival, but it was not allowed to go to the state youth festival because the Hindu Aikyavedi had said no. So over time, we have seen Hindu, Muslim and Christian groups saying no to certain art and objecting it. And we are also seeing these incidents increasing in number, right? So is that intolerance growing? Do you see that as a particular danger? And then people are wanting to not even take this on. They are like, okay, fine, we don't want a controversy, so we'll just not do anything about it.
Yes. We are scared of controversies, but instead of controversies, I think what we need to have is kind of open dialogue with these, not with these fundamentalist people, but with ordinary beings, ordinary people who really feel very innocent about their religion, the people who are practitioners of religion. Those people are actually not fundamentalists. They have no problem in coexisting with the other religions, crowd. We have all these practices in our different kind of carnivals, purams, festivals. We have all lived through that kind of a so-called secular fabric. We have that tradition of living together with very, very much different people from different religious sources. So we still have enough space of dialogue left. How can you really understand an artist? It is through the politics of sensorium that he uses, the language of senses, audible, visual, visible, tactile and all. So all these are the same tools that religions also using. So liberate all these sense mechanisms out of these bounds of religion. That is a huge task.
No, I am saying that this sounds very...
It sounds like the right thing to do, but unfortunately, I think time and again incidents have taught us that they're not looking to have a conversation. They just want to take offense.
Also, this kind of conversation we should have had where we engage people about the meaning of art, about, not to be offended, maybe even 20 years ago in a different India, right? Where conversation could have been open.
The reason I gave you those examples from a century ago was to show that we weren't very different. I know earlier you said that these incidents are increasing. Perhaps that's because these statements of offense are being amplified more now because of social media, because of media and all of that. But I don't think we've become more intolerant. I think we were quite intolerant to begin with.
I remember even Dan Brown's movie. So many. Over the last few years.
M.F. Hussain has been hounded. The funniest I found was this. From about 20 years ago in Bangalore, there was a photography exhibition. I was trying to pull out more details. So a Bengali photographer had gone to the lanes of Calcutta and he'd photographed how Durga, the clay statues were being made. So obviously it's not the first step is not what we see. There is a structure first, and then, flesh, and then clothes and all of that. So some of the photographs showed that she was not fully clothed, because that's how the statue is made. People took offense to that, and he had to pull it down. This is reality. It's not even somebody's figment of imagination. So at what point will you say that enough is enough, put your foot down, take offense, sit at home and take offense?
But I think the main problem, according to me, is religion taking offense to art has been a problem forever.
Correct.
Whether it's India or any other country, globally we have so many examples, right? But in India, we have a new trend where we also take offense to what we perceive as obscene, which is what we saw with this, Allahabadia.
Randeep Allahabadia.
Yes, there's a beer biceps controversy where we saw a judge itself saying why should it be obscene. I mean, reading this, what Justice Deepak Mishra and Justice Chandrachud said even about Misha.
I think it's Allahabadia. Or did I also get it wrong?
Ahmedabadia.
Just let's call him beer biceps.
Yeah. So I think obscenity is also a problem that we are finding. Anyways, Kavita, you have any final words, or we'll wrap up with our recommendations?
I'll wrap up with the recommendations. And finally, what I have to tell you is, though I may seem very idealistic or, not so practical, but we have to cross this because otherwise, art in the modern sense will not survive. Maybe I can show you one book which I am currently reading, which is... Actually, I'm presenting before you one interesting author, Anand, who has written Abhyartigal, Alkootam, the whole notion of Alkootam, the crowd, how alienation creates troubles in the society or creates new, existential understandings. So that was visible in his novels and all. But what I'm now focusing on these couple of days is the kind of sculptures the kind of sculptural works that Anand has created, which was a surprise for us. It was displayed in 2016 in Biennale itself. And I'm reading through him again, and this kind of reworking on our modernism in terms of improvising capacity of a modern mind is very important. We need to have some kind of memory of that, at least, if we lost it. So otherwise, we will lose our capacity to look at a painting with a fresh mind. And otherwise, I can also refer to one very interesting thing. A month in Siena. A Month in Siena is a very interesting book written by Hisham Matar. He's a Libyan author. He visits the art galleries of Siena and looking at a painting, how it changes as much as you look at it. That's what he was writing in that particular book, which it has a lot of underpinnings to his assassination of his father for exercising his free speech in Libya. So that's a very good book. Hisham Matar's, that book is not with me at the moment, but Hisham Matar, Matar, his book, A Month in Siena.
Okay, Pooja, what is your
recommendation? Is this book called Not Without My Daughter. It is from the mid-80s, I think, Betty Mahmoodi. And the second one is, it's a culmination of all that we spoke about, subversion, art, looking at art, and tolerance, intolerance. It's Mona Lisa Smile. If you haven't seen it, Julia Roberts movie, please go and watch. It's a lovely movie. Yeah.
That I have seen. Mine has nothing.
Wow, for a change.
Mine has nothing to do with art, but it's with books. This is a book I read recently. It's called The CIA Book Club by Charlie English. I mean, you have to read it with the skepticism that it's an author who obviously has issues with communism, but other than that,
and supports everything that CIA does.
That is okay, I guess, in the book. I mean, basically, it's about how the CIA sent hundreds and thousands of banned books to the Eastern Bloc just before the fall of communism, especially to Poland, where there were a lot of rebels against communism, and how, like George Orwell's 1984, these books were continuously sent through trains, through buses, through whatever modes of transport to just make sure that people read banned literature. And apparently when Poland finally came out of the Eastern Bloc, some credit was given to the book reading abilities. So the book says that what people perhaps did not realize, that the reason the books were flooding Poland was because it was done by a CIA secret project called the Book Club. So even the CIA was making people read books. You also should do that. Yeah, you should go through our recommendation list. Bhuvan puts it very diligently every week. It's there, part of our show notes. Every show, we have guests who come and give us recommendations. Very diverse set of recommendations we have had over the last 50, 60 episodes. So look through all that. Read the recommendations. Thank you very much, Kavita, for joining us. Thank you, Pooja. Thank you to producer Bhuvan, to Ajay, our production assistant, Yana Chowsky, who does our social media, sitting in the studio today. Maybe we'll also put a picture of hers on the side, Jasim, to show people. Then Jasim Ali, who's our editor, and Sukanya Shaji, who's joining us to listen to this episode. Remember to read our 2 stories on billionaire, not a billionaire, actually, apparently the entire family put together as a billionaire, on Sridhar Vembu, the CEO of Zoho.
Is he the CEO? He's a chief scientist now.
Okay, sorry. I said CEO every time. So scratch all that. Thank you very much, Kavita.